the only way out is for someone to die.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Oscar Buzz. Trevor here, joined by Thomas as always. And today we're talking about Eileen by William Oldroyd. Should I say his last name, right? I think so.
Yeah.
We're going to go with it. But this film came out of Sundance. There was a bit of buzz around it by I think a fairly well-known novel. And we got Thomasin, McKenzie, we got Anne Hathaway. And it's doing some interesting stuff with noir, I think. And is it a lesbian film? I don't know. It takes place in 1960s Massachusetts. You got a prison secretary, and then there's a new coworker, and then they go and do things. This is a interesting film. There's a lot that I like about it, and there's a lot that I really don't think works. I know you're a bit more negative on it.
Yeah, I think most of the film, I'm not even sure it's that interesting, really, what any of it's doing. I kind of think it's just it's a film with a bar but no bite. I don't think it ever really delivers on anything that it sets up. I think that is the real problem with it. It builds up all of these elements and it does so slowly, and it is quite gripping in some parts, but when you get to the final sort of third act, I just don't think it delivers on anything that it was really trying to establish, and it does just come across as sort of a fairly mediocre to bad thriller that doesn't quite work as a thriller, but also doesn't quite work as a romance drama, which it's trying to be. It doesn't quite work as a mystery because I don't think the mystery is very compelling. It just doesn't quite come together. The narrative elements just don't quite work. They're not quite cohesive in my mind.
I think one of the biggest problems that I had is I don't think that Thomasin McKenzie works in this role. Genuinely.
Okay. I don't know if I entirely agree. I think she brings a subtlety, which I think is good in contrast to Anne Hathaway's.
I thought Anne Hathaway was excellent, though.
The opposite. She's doing the opposite. I did like that contrast there. I think the problem is not her performance. I think the problem is the fact that Eileen is not a very interesting character.
I think that might be it, yeah.
I think the characterization in this film is pretty poor in that I don't think we'll learn anything about these two people outside of what's happening within the film and within the immediate moments within the film. And that is a problem for me. I wasn't very invested in watching them individually. Together, they have good chemistry. That's fairly fine. It's enough. It's serviceable to keep you invested for the runtime. But I never felt anything for these characters.
Sure. And yeah, I don't know. Like, there's a lot of stuff that's set up with the dad, which is kind of paid off, but not entirely. And then there's the whole romance kind of will they, won't they. I did like it being told through a subjective narrator with Eileen. And we didn't entirely know how much of it she was constructing within her head, and how much of that relationship and connection was real. And I think Anne Hathaway's performance really, like, in the kind of the intangibility of her work, really works like quite nicely within that, like. But I don't know. It's I feel very, very conflicted with where the film goes. I've seen some people call the film queer baiting, which I think is dumb. It's fictional characters. You can't, they can't. No. Anyways, but I don't. The twist. I think it kind of works on its own. I don't know if it works with what directly precedes it.
No, I don't think the build-up establishes the twist. I think the twist comes completely out of nowhere in my mind, and the problem is
I don't know how you would set that up.
No, which is maybe a problem with I think the mystery within itself, though, is not a very interesting one to solve. I never felt much urgency.
It also isn't
in
the focus.
Discovering. Exactly. That's not the focus, but it also is trying to be the focus towards the conclusion, which is within itself a problem.
Right, yeah.
And without the urgency, without the just intriguing mystery being established, I think that's why the twist comes as so abrupt and so like, oh, okay.
Right. If we were focusing on the mystery the whole time.
Like I didn't even know we were going to go there, but
right.
Like, okay, really?
That was a possibility for a twist, yeah.
Exactly. So I think that is a problem, especially if you're trying to be a thriller. Like, it does the build up, it does do that fairly well. I did appreciate the slow pace. It took the time to develop the relationship between these two. As I said, individually, less so. But I don't think the mystery and the relationship are important to go in the same film. They feel like two completely separate things. Like when the twist arrives, it doesn't affect any of the characters. And as the characters' relationship develop, it doesn't really affect the mystery either. They're two very juxtaposing elements in my mind.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to try to defend it. I just had fun. I genuinely just thought it was a fun film. It was very vibey, and I can't respond well to vibes. Like I didn't think it was great or anything. But I do think tonally it plays really, really nicely as a subversion of like noir. Which I did quite appreciate, like 40s and 50s, like femme fatale noir and all of that. I think it plays off of a lot of those tropes in very, very fun ways, which at least kept it at least somewhat like engaging and stuff through a bit of the silliness with the rest of the film. I thought that was at least kind of fun. Like I don't know, I think that there are a lot of pieces there. I think Anne Hathaway is just electrifying anytime that she's on screen. I think if you want to read into some of those noir subversions, like you can have fun with them. It isn't. I don't think I found much quality per se, but there was enough there that it provided me with, I guess, to just have fun with it. But there's no.
I would also say I think it left a bit on the
defense.
table. Yeah, like with a 60s setting, you could have explored stuff, especially if you leaned a bit more into the queer aspect of this relationship.
Yeah,
I just feel was not explored at all. Like it didn't sell me that it was set in the 60s. It could have been set any time, and I don't think it would have made much difference to what was going on outside of like practical concerns, whatever. I'm talking about like in terms of the aesthetic that it establishes, the tone. I never felt invested really in the world that this film was.
Yes, you're right. I don't think the setting has much of an effect on the narrative.
No, I was never drawn in. The film never gave me reasons to really care and reasons to really be interested. I think the performances.
I do think that the subjective lens through which we show Thomasin McKenzie's perspective can do a bit of that, though.
Maybe I just don't think she's an interesting enough character, that's the problem. But yeah, it's a flawed film. There are fun elements there. I think the first two acts they're not dull, really.
No.
They are interesting, and as you say, like Anne Hathaway is great, and I think their relationship is well developed. It just doesn't go anywhere, and I don't think it delivers on the promises it sets up initially. So,
sure. Yeah, for sure. But I'm gonna give it a 5. Feeling a 5.
I'm feeling a 3 or 4. It might be nice and give it a 4. I didn't dislike watching it. There are just a lot of elements in it that slightly perturbed me.
Sure. Fair enough. No awards chances. It did get quite a bit at the Indie Spirits, though. I will say it was a fun on the woman in the basement at the end. She got nominated for an Indie Spirit, which I think is a good nomination because I thought that she was excellent.
Yeah, she has a good monologue at the end there. Yeah.
For supporting actress. Very fun. Anyways, let us know your thoughts on Eileen in the comments below. But until next time, thank you for watching. Stay safe and goodbye.